ancestors didn't have access to the latest perfectly polished stones, dyed feathers, or resin representations of spirit animals or deities, tools, both mundane and magical, were gathered from what was available to them. The bones, antlers, claws, or feathers from animal waste were fashioned into utilitarian pieces for household use, or would be crafted into tools or weapons. They could also be used as decorative pieces for ritual clothing or jewelry, and were used in different forms of magic such as divination, sympathetic, and protective magic. I'm here to encourage you, if at all possible, to incorporate those things of nature to the craft as long as it can be collected in an ethical way. Join me.
Hey everyone, it's Monica Crossan, author of Wild Magical Soul and the Magical Family, and I'm here today to talk to you about bones. But before we get our hands dirty, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the bones I've collected and talk about gathering them.
As we take a peek at a few of my treasures, I just wanted to talk to you about how to gather your supplies. Obviously, the best way is to be out in nature itself. And I know that's easy for me to say since I live on the edge of a forest, but there's always parks and beaches. And as you take a stroll, just be mindful of what is around you. You never know what kind of treasure you're going to find.
Of course, the easiest method of sourcing bones would be to go online and just pick a bone. They're already clean, they're sterile, they're ready for use. But before doing that, do a little research. Is your supplier ethically sourcing the material? Also, are the materials that they offer on any kind of federal or state endangered species list? So this might seem a little gross, but one really good way of sourcing bones for your craft is by searching out roadkill. Depending on the state of decomposition, though, cleaning can be a gruesome act. I suggest cleaning them by exposure, which is just basically putting them somewhere in a container with holes in it and let nature take its course. Of course, you can always use maceration, which is a process of putting them in a container filled with water and just refilling the water every day until it's clear. I do talk more about both of those methods in my book, Wild Magical Soul, and you can go onto my website and find a tutorial.
Today, though, we'll be focusing on cleaning found bones, like this one here that I found in a barn covered with ages of dirt and grime. It's an easy two-step process in which we'll be gently washing the bones, and then we'll go ahead and bleach the bones to this brilliant shade of white. Step one in the process is washing the bone. You'll need a container to fit your bone and some nice warm water that you can pour over the top and cover completely. The next thing you're going to need is a little bit of Dawn dishwashing soap, just a dab. Then you're going to take a toothbrush, and as you can see here, it's already easily coming off. That's it. You will gently just wash the grime away. Okay, now it's time to bleach our bone. I'm using hydrogen peroxide, and I'm going to be putting the bone back into the same shallow dish I was using to wash it. It's pretty simple. You place it in, you cover it completely with the hydrogen peroxide, and depending on how big the bone is, it can take up to 6 to 8 hours to bleach a bone. If you have some tough spots around like the teeth there, you can use borax and hydrogen peroxide to make a paste and use a toothbrush to pack that in around the teeth, and that will help. Reddening the bones was a tradition used by cultures who practiced ancestor worship and was traditionally done using red ochre paste, which symbolized blood or the life force being returned. You can further empower your bones by drawing symbols, sigils, or using magical alphabets like the Theban alphabet on them, as you can see here.
When putting symbolism on your bones, the coolest way is to burn them. But you have to have a pretty neat wood burner to be able to do that. I prefer just using paint pens. It's as easy as that.
To make the paste to redden the bones is very, very simple. As you can see, I'm using a little bit of dragon's blood resin just for that little bit of power that adds to it. I like that. But you're going to need, as a reddening agent, either some ochre powder, some brick dust. I'm using madder root. Then you're going to want to add some liquid. Red wine, cherry juice, or even moon-charged water is acceptable. You can even add a few drops of your own blood, either menstrual blood, or if you want to prick your finger and drop a few drops in, that's great too. Then you're going to mix it up. And that is it.
So now it's time to put the reddening paste on the bone. It's best to wear gloves, but you're going to take the paste and pat it onto the area you want reddened. You can do the whole bone if you want, but it's not necessary. You can make a pattern. Be creative, do it however you feel. Once the paste is on, you can take plastic wrap, wrap the bone, and then let it set until it dries. I just do this. And it takes probably, 3 to 6 hours to dry.
Once the paste is hardened, you can take a sharp object and just flake it off.
Once the bones are reddened, the last step is to breathe life into them, literally by taking a breath and blowing onto your bones.
Thanks for joining me. You can learn more about bone magic and other natural magic in my book, Wild Magical Soul.